Right guys, welcome to this brief video with my predictions for Paper 1 2024. This is the first prediction video I've ever done, so let's see how it goes. Before we get started, here's just a quick rundown of some of the basics of the video. So any prediction that I make is solely based on what's come up in the past across both AS and A-level papers, and it's going to focus mainly on the 16 markers with perhaps a little bit of the 8 markers as well. Obviously, it goes without saying that this is only my opinion, and AQA can do anything they want regardless of what's come up in the past, so please make sure you carry on revising everything. I'm going to show you what's come up in the past so that you can see why I've predicted what I have. The point of showing you what's come up is so that you can also have a think about what you think might come up as well, because maybe you'll see some kind of pattern to the topics that I've missed. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below if you do see something that you think is useful. And just finally, if you find this video helpful and you want another one for paper 2, a like would be amazing. So let's get started with social influence. So you can see on the screen now what's come up since 2016. Anything that's in blue is what's come up in an AS paper, and the reason I've put the AS paper in is because AQA sometimes reuse questions or put something in an A-level paper several years after it turned up in an AS paper. For example, the 16 marker in situational variables from 2022 is the identical question to the 12 marker from 2017. Okay, so sometimes it helps just to see what the AS papers have done so that you can then compare it to the A-level papers. So based on what's here, I think the topics in green are the most likely for 2024. Factors affecting conformity and conformity to social roles have only ever appeared in AS papers and as 8 markers, so it's high time they came up at A-level for 16 marks. There is a link to some model essays on the screen now, so you can have a look at those if you want to for your revision. The authoritarian personality has only ever come up as an 8 marker, albeit in A-level, and resistance to social influence has only come up in AS. So again, both of those are good shouts. Social change has never come up as a 16-mark essay, so that might also be something to have a look at. Social change also lends itself quite nicely to application questions, so that's something that I would build into my revision if I were doing it. Okay, again, essay practice is at the top of your screen now for social change, just in case you want to have a look at it. The only one I'm not 100% convinced by is Milgram. Milgram's baseline research. It's never come up before, but equally Milgram has his hands in situational variables and also the agentic state, and so AQA might feel like they've covered all of those bases already. But I've marked it as green because ultimately it's never come up, and so it is always a possibility. The agentic state might be a nice 8 marker for this year, just like the legitimacy of authority was a couple of years ago. Okay, so the agentic state came up in 2020 together with the legitimacy of authority, and then the legitimacy of authority came up in 2021. So technically, the agentic state could come up just by itself as a little 8 marker this year. Okay, so that might be something just to look out for. So moving on to memory, this is what's come up already. It's quite a popular chapter for essays, but there are a couple that stick out. Types of long-term memory has never appeared. It's a short topic and it's not easy to squeeze 16 marks out of the essay, or at least the 6 marks out of the outline, so make sure you do a little bit of practice on that. Misleading information has also not come up since 2017. I'm not sure if it would come up again as a 16 marker, but possibly as an 8 marker on leading questions or on post-event discussion. The cognitive interview has only ever featured in AS. Okay, so all of those are nice little shouts for 16 markers. The nature of memory is all about coding capacity and duration. I honestly can't imagine a 16 marker on that, but that doesn't mean that AQA won't set one. Maybe as an application question, and then the option to talk about 2 or more features of memory perhaps would be a possibility. So it wouldn't hurt to have a go at writing an essay on research into coding capacity and duration, just to cover all of your bases. So the third topic is attachment. Attachment hasn't seen as many essays over the years, but there are also more topics to cover than in some of the other ones. So, it spreads a little thin. So Schaffer's stages of attachment, the role of the father, and the effects of institutionalization stick out because they've never been assessed as a 16 marker. The second two have got nice application possibilities, so again, like I've said with some of the other ones, just factor that into your revision. The strange situation and cultural variations in attachment have never featured as a 16 marker, so there's also an argument to be made for those. Now, the theories of attachment, that's learning theory and Bowlby's theory, have never been assessed individually as a 16 marker, but they did come up in 2018 together as one 16 marker. Okay, so they have had some attention over the years. They've also featured in AS papers as well as 8 markers. So I haven't included them in my prediction, but keep them in mind as a possibility because it has been a little while for Bowlby's theory, at least, since it's featured in an A-level paper, and the learning theory of attachment featured last year in an AS paper. And so with that whole idea of reusing questions in mind, that might just be something to practice. In terms of the 8 markers, think of topics that can be split. So caregiver-infant interactions, for example, could be split into reciprocity and interactional synchrony, and there's an 8 marker that you could make there, and the effects of early attachment, which could be split into adult or childhood relationships. It's not as likely for that one because it's already been done in a similar way, but it doesn't hurt to think about it. And then finally, psychopathology. Again, a topic that gets quite a lot of attention, but so far, most of the essays have all focused in similar areas. So I think defining abnormality is off the table. That has been assessed quite a lot. However, the treatments are all good shouts, especially treating phobias and treating OCD. Depression has had a little bit more attention, but not since 2018 at A-level. So it's not as likely, but certainly not impossible. Explaining phobias has never come up at A-level, and neither has explaining depression, so they're also both a possibility. Explaining depression has come up as a 12 marker for AS, but keep in mind what I said earlier about AQA reusing questions. Okay, the 12 marker on explaining depression from 2018 was long enough ago for it to be recycled now if AQA decide to be lazy. Okay, but again, you've got the topics in green that I think are the most likely. Please remember, these predictions are educated guesses. They are not certainties. Okay, but they are as good a place to start your revision as any. Make use of the exam practice videos that I've got, some of which will have been linked throughout this video and others will be appearing on your screen now. Good luck for paper 1 and well done for all the work that you've put in to get this far. You're nearly done, and if you have any questions, please pop them in the comment section below and I will do my best to get back to you ASAP. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you in the predictions for paper 2.